Hi, you are listening or watching Rewriting Life's Canvas with me, your host, Esther. Thank you for joining me another week. Do you know what? Right? Last week, so I thought it was going to take me a while to kind of settle into podcasting again. But it's so interesting. It's like riding a bike, it's muscle memory. Because last week, I felt incredibly comfortable and just so at home that watching it back, I was like, wait a minute, this is my second episode. This is my second, it's only the second episode. And obviously, this is episode 3, but it's so funny because I know this episodes come out every 2 weeks, but for me, I feel like I'm back in the studio every week. Maybe because I'm tired, but I actually feel like I'm back here. Like before I know it, I'm messaging Brent saying, hey, Brent, coming on Saturday at this time. It's just, yeah, it's great. But anyway, thank you all so much for the love, as always, and the support and watching the episodes, commenting. I really, really appreciate it. So I would say, please kindly like the video before we get into all that we need to discuss today. Might be a quick episode because I am tired. And it's so ironic because last episode was about the beauty of rest and stillness. I'm tired. And I don't even know why I'm tired because I got a very high score on my sleep score, 99. Hasn't happened in a long time. I'm just tired. So this might be a quick one anyway, but not much on my mind this week. But please like the video, subscribe to the channel, comment. If you're watching or listening on Spotify, so if you're listening on Spotify, the video is available, so you can watch it on Spotify as well. But if you are doing that, you can also drop a comment. You can drop a comment, and you are more than welcome to reach out to me as well. If you want to share a story, share an experience, something that you might want to get my opinion on, you want me to talk about, you can either DM me at Rewriting Life's Canvas on Instagram and TikTok, or you can email me at est, not at est, but est at rewritinglifescanvas.com. It's all great. Now, all the admins out of the way. First of all, sorry, actually, have you guys ever seen people queuing up to go somewhere and you have no idea what it's about or what they're trying to get into, but you just think it must be great in there? I drove past. I don't even know why I drove past. I was on my way driving here today. I saw these people queuing up and they didn't look like they had any chance of going in at any time. And just for context, it's really hot today. Today's a very, very, I think it's 28 degrees today. Today is hot. I'm in a sleeveless top and in yellow. I am representative of what the weather's like. And these people were queuing up. Someone had drinks, someone had snacks. I said, what is that? I might stop by my way back just to see what it is because, yeah. But anyway, I was reflecting this week, as I always do. And on the first episode, I mentioned how I don't, I live a life now where I don't ask people's opinions. Um, I give a whole explanation about it. You can check it out, of course, on the first episode. I also posted the clips on TikTok and on Instagram, so you can check that out as well. But essentially, I do the thing where I don't ask for people's opinions because I really believe it's important to be able to trust your own voice and just trust the decisions that you make. And I was reflecting on how it was that I got there because I was a people pleaser. To an extent, I still am, but not as bad anymore and not to my detriment anymore, possibly to my inconvenience, absolutely, because I do think that's how you kind of build relationships and you nurture relationships and it's just how you live life, really. I do believe that you have to inconvenience yourself sometimes for people that you love. And even if it's strangers, even if it's having to, for as an example, if I see someone that's homeless and would like some money, sometimes I do inconvenience myself and I walk and I have to find a cash point and come back. So I do believe that inconveniencing yourself sometimes is really good. It's for the greater good. And even when we talk about community and family and friends and nurturing relationships, it does take inconveniencing yourself. Do you know what I mean? Building relationships and keeping and forming relationships or maintaining them isn't always a convenient thing. Sometimes you do have to come out of your shell a little bit. But anyways, yeah, so I stopped asking people for their opinions because it was just very important for me to trust the voice within me. And I'm Christian as well. So my biggest thing is living in God's will and purpose for me. I have walked, I have lived a life where I was not obedient to God knowingly because there's ignorance, right? But I have knowingly been disobedient in my walk with God. And that was the lowest time of my life. That can never repeat itself again. Almost to the point where I do think I almost live in fear. So actually, it's so interesting. I've just thought about this. There was a time, like a year or 2 years ago, where the thought of, so because I really wanted to live in God's will, I was scared not to live in God's will. And so because I was scared not to live in God's will, I was scared to even make any steps in any kind of direction. So I would just stand still. So imagine you either have to go left or right or left. I wonder what psychologists say about people that say left or right first. But anyway, imagine you have to go left or right or left. And because you're so scared of making the wrong decision, you just stand still. Yeah, that was me. And that's one of the reasons why it's so important for me to not always ask people's opinions on what they think, and not, even if you do ask, not rely on people's opinions and stuff like that so much, because it can be crippling. It is crippling sometimes to your confidence. So just with that anyway, so I was thinking about it and how I really got there, especially knowing what I used to be like and knowing how, again, I would just stand still, or how I would rely on what other people want me to do. And I just realized that it's to do with my faith. It's to do with my faith, and it's also a lot to do with my relationship with God and being so confident in my relationship with God. So my mindset is that God is sovereign. God is sovereign and is the God of all the earth, heavens and earth and everything, absolutely everything, right? And so God knows everything. God is the creator of this world. And because God is the creator of this world, who am I to try and figure out things about this world when the owner, the creator of the world, could just tell me? Because I didn't bring myself here. I didn't place myself in this world. I have nothing to do with how I came to be. So how could I understand what life is? I didn't create life. And so that confidence of knowing that mindset, knowing that God, who is the creator of life, knows all things, the most important thing for me to do then is to walk with him. And so if I'm walking, so interesting, because the confidence I walk with these days honestly blows my mind. I can't remember what the context was, but I thought about it this week as well, the week just gone. And I really just thought, I've really changed. Like I don't worry as much as I used to. I used to be an overthinker. I don't overthink as much. I don't worry about things so much. And a lot of it, most of it is to do with the fact that I am under God's supervision. I strongly believe that. And because I strongly believe that, I just know that the God who knows everything, the God who created me, the God who created life, will always show me what life is about. And that leads me to my second thing, which is not being scared to make mistakes. I used to be so scared to make mistakes. I do think part of it is to do with my upbringing. Again, with writing life's canvas, you got to think and look back at your life's canvas. And a lot of the things about who you are today has come from somewhere. And I would say for me, my fear of making mistakes and always feeling like I have to be perfect comes from somewhere, comes from childhood, comes from how it was I've been raised, and also comes from the society in which I've been raised in. I'm Nigerian. I feel like I've said that every single episode. Every single episode. I'm Nigerian. But not only am I Nigerian, I lived in Nigeria in my formative years, right? And there's just something about Nigerians and making mistakes. You're not really allowed. I would say you're not allowed to necessarily make mistakes. There's a big deal about you making mistakes. And unfortunately, that was really etched in my chemistry, in who I am. And so the older I've gotten, I want to say that maybe up until a year ago. But it's so interesting because God does work, like the work that's happening in your life and the way you change, it's little habits, it's one at a time. And then you just look back one day and you look back and you think, wow, like things have really, really changed for me, or I have really changed as a person. That is why I always say, when it comes to habits, take small steps. Every single step matters. Every single step counts towards who it is that you're trying to be in the future. But back to the topic, quitting J. Cole. Being scared to make mistakes. I don't live in fear of making mistakes. Sometimes I do think about the admin side of it, of having to make mistakes. The stress of it all, that what will come with that is annoying to me. But I've really noticed a shift in my mindset of not being scared to make mistakes. And because I'm not scared to make mistakes, that just means that I'm not scared I get to live. There's so much pressure off your shoulders when you don't live in fear of making mistakes, when you don't live in fear of going the wrong way, when you don't live in fear of doing the wrong things. Because again, my mindset is just that my confidence is in that life will work out. Things will work out, especially when I'm walking with God. Things will always work out. Like it will always work out. Even if I do things that God doesn't want me to do, if I'm walking, not intentionally, but if I unintentionally make a wrong choice or unintentionally make a wrong mistake, make a mistake, make a wrong mistake, make a mistake, things will always work out. And because I know things will always work out, it's all good. Like one of the things for me, so for example, with dating, which I want to talk about in a bit anyway, but for example, with dating, right? Years ago, I just felt like if things don't work out, it's not the end of the world. I will live. I will live and I will be fine. And I will live to declare God's glory the next day with a new man in my arms. It's so simple. And so that mindset again is so interesting how it is that is spilled into other areas of my life. So when you walk with a mindset of not being scared to make mistakes, there's so much freedom in the way that you think. There's so much freedom in the way that you live. It's like having a weight off your shoulders because you get to go with the flow, but not in a negative way. Not in a go with the flow where you're not going anywhere, but in just you take each day at a time. And it's so interesting because the Bible actually says that you should not worry about tomorrow because each day has enough problems of its own. And that is Fendi facts. That is facts. How can I try to figure out what tomorrow is when today I haven't even figured out what today is? And I think also this life is so fickle. Life is so fickle. We're here one second, gone the next. And circumstances change in a flash. Like I remember a few years ago, I had a house fire. I had a house fire and 30 minutes before that, I was in my bed working from home. Do you know how wild? Like my life literally changed in the blink of an eye. I had things and within the next hour, I was living in this hour with things and the next hour I didn't have anything. But not only did I not have anything, I also may not have even been here. It's wild. But anyway, so yeah, just thinking about that is just thinking about how it is that I've gotten to the place where as a person, I don't lean on people's opinions. I don't look to live my life according to what other people's standards or values or morals or whatever the case is. It really, a lot of it is just that confidence and walking with God, because I'm sorry, God will never leave me. Like God doesn't sleep. The last episode I said God doesn't nap. He's not tired, and he isn't. So that confidence really makes a difference. So yeah, if you're have a look. I said have a look. Go back and listen to that podcast. That episode. Sorry, the very first episode was really good episode. But I just realized I didn't. There was just parts of it that I felt I needed to kind of address again on here, of how it is I really got there. It's not an easy journey, of course, and there's still times where I still doubt. I still doubt myself. Like for example, so I go to Lagos. I travel to Lagos frequently, and I've got a trip coming up. And there's something about planning things in the future that kind of freaks me out a little bit, which might sound very silly because I just said I am confident in walking, but I think I just always think, what if I don't want to do on that date? Like, you know, people are like, oh, let's plan a holiday for next year. Yeah, but what if I'm not in the mood next year? What if around that time I've got something else going on that I'd want to do, or that's happening? So that's one of the reasons. That's one of the parts of my life I would say that I just think when it comes to planning in that regard, I'm just like, I get a bit nervous about. But again, because as you grow, you got to everything is one day at a time. It's one day at a time. So that is something that I actually feel. I mean, what is this? My 12th trip to Lagos in 2 years. I feel more confident picking my travel dates. It's so weird though. It's so weird the little things that you can kind of get hung up on or like a bit stuck on. But anyway, that is it. That is one of those things. So if you are someone who does worry and who does who is scared to make moves or scared to make decisions because you're scared to fail, please, that is life. You will always learn from your past experiences. Nothing that you go through in life is a waste. It's always about, it goes back to the mindset. If something bad happens, if you make a decision and it's the wrong decision and it's not great and things go, I was gonna say, things go tits up, mate, you'll be fine. You will actually be fine because your mindset is what's going to help you get through that, get through whatever chaos can come from it. And it just really makes a difference. Honestly, it really makes a difference, the kind of life that you get to live where you're not scared of being hurt. You're not scared of suffering losses. You're not scared of doing the wrong thing. You're not scared of upsetting people. Once you live like that, you'll be fine. You'll be fine because when we think about it, that's really what holds a lot of people back. That a lot of people end up living their lives filled with regrets because they were too scared to make a move. They were too scared to desire something else. Or you have a talent, or you have a skill, or something that you're just good at, but you're too scared to commit to that. Or even somebody that you love and you care about, but you're too scared to commit to that. Like, it really holds people back. The fear can be so crippling that it really, really will hold you back and rob you of so many beautiful experiences in life. And I think there's just this thing with experiences always have to be good. They don't always have to be good. They can be really bad experiences, but good can come of it down the line. Something to think about. Just a little nugget to think about. So I was listening to something earlier and it was about, I can't remember what they were talking about exactly, but it was basically the thought about the one that got away came up. And I started thinking about it. I thought about the one that got away. Is that actually a thing? Or is that something that comes from rom-coms? I love rom-coms, by the way. I'm a lover girl through and through. You can never make me hate love. I love love so much. But just thinking about the whole is the one that got away, is that a real thing? So you know how people always say, oh, is the right person, wrong time? I've always struggled to understand that a bit because I just think that when things are right, they're right. And I think that if you have the right person at the quote unquote wrong time, then it's the wrong person because then they're not suitable for you in this phase of your life that you're in. Do you know what I'm trying to say? Does that make sense? Does that make sense? How are they the right person then if this is the wrong time? Do you know what I mean? But anyway, the one that got away, I think that is a lie. I think that's a lie. I think the whole idea of the one that got away is just something that's meant to, I think as human beings, there are certain things that we say to each other that helps feed our ego. It helps feed our ego and it helps us feel better. And sometimes it's easier to just blame something else or come up with a quick quote than have to actually sit down, reflect on your actions and maybe how you messed up or how you could have done better. It's just easier sometimes to deflect than to actually reflect. I just came up with that. That came out off the cuff. It really did. But yeah, so when it comes to the one that got away, and I think especially I tend to hear, I hear it applied to men and I hear it applied to women. A lot of women, when I've heard it said with women, a lot of women say that they are the ones that got away from a person. And again, I just don't believe that. I think that sometimes it's just an ego thing. Because again, if we're going to use the idea of, okay, I'm the one who got away, I'm someone's the one who got away, right? That would be because perhaps they didn't commit or they weren't there in their life for me or they weren't in the right place. It was the wrong time. But how does that work if whatever the circumstances were, they didn't change it to accommodate me in their life? So are you really the person that got away? Because I always, one thing about me when it comes to love is I always believe that you will find somebody else. There's always somebody else. that don't be thinking that somebody else when you're in a situation, unless you're in a toxic situation, then please let that be the fuel that gets you moving, that gets you back in, that gets you out of there. But I don't believe it's like when people say that you only have one soulmate. I don't believe that. Because I also think that you could, like, I think someone in your family could be your soulmate. A friend could be your soulmate. I don't think that soulmates are just romantic. And so in the same way, I don't believe that everyone has the one. Because if you're telling me, for example, if someone has the one and that person passes away, do you telling me that they will never have another one? Of course they will. And yes, there might be things about that person where there's more sentiment attached to that person, but you could actually find someone who treats you better than the person that you never thought you wanted to do without. And so because of that mindset that I have of, to be fair, actually, if I'm being honest with you guys, that's one thing that helps me get through any breakup I've ever been in my life. What has gotten me through heartbreaks in the past is the excitement at all the men I'm yet to meet. As I've said that, I've just realized how funny that is to say out loud. I'm currently watching The Golden Girls. I love a sitcom. Sitcoms, that's my vibe. And one of the characters, Blanche, she's so into men. Gosh, she's so man hungry. And so when I said that, it just reminded me of something that she would say. But please, when I tell you that any heartbreak I've ever been through, yes, it's been hurtful. Yes, my heart's been broken. Yes, it's been sad because I'm like, damn, I've got to come up with a new routine. Yes, it's sentimental of that, oh, I miss this person. But please never get it twisted. One thing about me, what gets me through, what will dry up those tears ever so quickly and will make my heart feel very light and free is the idea that, oh my goodness, this hasn't worked out. But do you know what else is out there for me? A man I haven't met. Not only a man I haven't met, but a man I'm gonna have to learn, like I get to learn new things about, and all the great feelings I had in this situation or relationship, I get to experience that all over again, but with someone that is even more worth my time than this situation was. The excitement of a new man when I've been heartbroken has really helped me because I'm sorry, the world is too vast. The world is too vast for me to ever sit down and think, oh, this is the one that got away. Like I remember years ago, I dated a guy, right? And it's another thing about the one that got away. I think it's also another tactic to make, I will speak about women now, but I think it's a tactic to make women stay in situations that they have no business being in. Zero business being in. I think it's a tactic to make, actually not even just women, because there's guys who date women who they feel that they should be dating, but the women are not their type. But you feel that on paper, this is the kind of person you should be with. That she's quote unquote responsible. She stays indoors. You know, men always silly things like that. She's responsible. She stays indoors. You know, she goes to church. She's so homely. She cooks. She cleans. She does all these things, and you know that's not what you like. You know the person that you want to be with is the girl that wants to go to a restaurant every weekend or every other weekend, every other day because she doesn't cook. She doesn't want to cook. Be with your type. First of all, I have to interrupt this with a big message. Be with your type. Stop being with people that you have no business being with because you think it's the quote unquote the right thing to do. Leave them alone and let them find people that genuinely want to be with them, not people who are only with them because they think that they are the textbook definition of what a partner is. And that's why I think the whole idea of the one that got away, when it's said to men to make men feel like you should commit to this girl that you're not actually really attracted to, that you don't really, really like, you don't have fun with her, but because she's who you think will be a great mother one day. No. And it's also a scam because then it makes women feel like you don't want to let this one go because what if another one never comes back? I think that's a risk worth taking. I think every time that you are with a partner that is not fulfilling your needs, a partner that is not productive for your life, a partner that doesn't add value to your life, I think it's always worth taking a risk to find out if there's better out there. The grass really could be greener. I know we say the grass is greenest wherever it is that you water it, but sometimes, do you know, my mind is so crazy because I was just about to say, sometimes somebody else has watered the grass and you can just go on in there moving and enjoy and enjoy the harvest. Girlfriend, boyfriend fluffers, very important people in the world. If they don't get the credit that's due to them, they don't. But they're very, very vital in this ecosystem, in this dog-eat-dog world that we live in. But yes, I think the whole idea of the one that got away, sometimes it keeps people stuck in positions that they shouldn't be, and it keeps you giving energy to things that you have no business giving energy into. Just to let you guys know how stubborn I've always been when it comes to dating, right? I remember I dated a guy years ago, and he was a lovely guy. Very lovely. On paper, made sense. Christian guy. Very wholesome. Very kind. Very thoughtful. He was nice. We got on really well. We laughed, bantered, everything. But I just felt that there was something missing. There was something missing. I couldn't put my finger on it, but I just knew that this wasn't it. I knew this was my final bus stop. I also knew that at some point I might have a wandering eye. And I don't subscribe to having a wandering eye when you're in a relationship. I don't. But I just knew this person wasn't the one for me. And this is why, you know what's so interesting? This is actually one of the biggest reasons why, when it comes to relationship stuff, I start asking people for their opinions. Oh, that was the birth of that. Because this relationship, right? The people around me couldn't understand what my issue was, what my problem was. But I knew that I couldn't explain, I couldn't quite explain what it was, but I just knew that this wasn't it. I just knew that something was missing. And I had reflected enough to know that it wasn't me chasing toxicity, because I don't like toxic mess. I don't like arguing in relationships. I just don't like dramatic. I don't like dramatics. I'm not here for it. So I knew that it wasn't anything like that. I just knew that this is a great guy, very lovely, very wholesome. Someone that I would have is who I should be with, right? But I just knew something was missing. And so when I decided that I was going to walk away from this, my friends, my family, nobody understood. Nobody understood. No. I remember my mom saying to me that the previous guy I dated was so nonchalant. And this one I'm saying is too attentive, because that's one of the reasons I came out. It was a bit much. And she was just like, yeah, what do you want? And I remember for months, oh my goodness, living in a limbo and living in confusion of being so confident about the decision that I'd made, but also feeling like maybe I'd made a mistake. I felt like, it's so funny because whenever I would think, oh, maybe this was the one and I've blown it, my spirit would be like, yeah, but it wasn't it though. It wasn't it. Like, yes, it's a great guy. Great. Lovely, great, wonderful. However, though, it's not like, how could you be upset, and how could I, this is what my spirit was saying to me. This is me versus me. This is me talking to myself in the mirror. How could you be upset, Esther? How could you be upset about a man that, you know, deep down you didn't really love? You didn't really feel what it is that you know you want to feel in the life partner that you have. And when I tell you guys, for months I lived like this just because of outside noise, just because of outside opinions, or feeling like, oh, you messed this one up, and you know that he's a lovely guy, and just that fear of, oh, what if something better doesn't come along? And I always knew that no, something would. And also as well, I was so confident in my decision, which is how I think today, that I'm willing to take that risk. If nothing better comes in the future, I'm willing to take that risk. I'm actually happy with it. I'll be fine. I'll be cool. It'll be great. Like, all will be well. It won't be the end of the world. It'll all be cool. And I just really think that a lot of people find themselves in relationships that they have no business being in, out of fear of you might not get another one, or also sometimes just the fear of being hurt, the fear of having to start over again. I find it exciting to start over again. It's so interesting because for years I've always said that I love the woman that I am after I've been through something and I come out of the other side of it. Oh, I love to meet her. I love to see her. I love to get to know her and understand what her mind is like now. So that's one of my biggest motivators, is whenever I go for anything that's terrible, which is why I'm also not always scared to go through bad things because I'm just like, I'll be good for it. Like, I'll be fine. It'll work out. It'll be good. It'll be fine. It's all cool. And a lot of people live in that fear of having to start over, what that looks like. And it's fair. It's absolutely fair to live to have that fear, absolutely. But I don't think that fear is worth living an unfulfilled life. I don't think that fear is worth living a life that will be full of regrets. It just never is. But it was just so interesting to me, just hearing just a passing comment about the one that got away, and I thought, is that really a thing? And I don't think it's a thing. I don't. I used to think it was a thing, and I think it was flattering to my ego to think that I was the one that got away. But no, because people are with the people that are bare for them. Actually, sometimes when people leave you, sometimes when you leave people, they leave you. Sometimes they go on to find what's bare for them. I don't know if you guys have heard that joke online when women say, "Oh," so basically the joke is that when you say, "Oh, you will never find someone like me. You never find someone better than me." Oh, you might, you actually might, and that's okay. Because sometimes when I see some of the things that women are doing for men, oh, you absolutely might find another woman better than me. Because I was never going to do any of that. I was never going to do any of that. And so you just can't live. You can't let the fear of the unknown cripple you from living a fulfilled and blossoming life, and just a life that's full of color. It's just not it, man. It really isn't it. And it's just so sad. One of the things for me is that I genuinely feel very, very, it hurts my heart to speak to women or to see women who are really, and I don't mean this as an insult, but who are really, really desperate to find love. I think love is beautiful. Again, love a girl. And I think it's great to want love. I think it's natural, actually, to desire love. But I think that sometimes there are people who really, really want it, and at the cost of anything that they compromise, and they compromise so early on. And I think this idea of the one that got away makes people compromise. And it's so interesting because we actually see reinforced in film and TV and media. I mean, when I think about, do you know one thing that really annoys me? Friends. In Friends, when Rachel gets off the plane for Ross, I can't believe that. That scene, sorry, spoiler alert, that scene really, really, really irks me. Because he was not deserving of that love. He wasn't. He was not. He really wasn't. She had no business getting off that plane. She had no business sacrificing what she'd worked so hard for years. The character development on Rachel. The character development on Rachel Green, and all of that just tossed away for Ross. Really. And again, I'm a lover girl. But I just don't think there's certain things that we should be doing. I just don't think, no. I'm so discombobulated, no. And I think that media just reinforces that idea of the one that got away, of if this goes, you never, so many TV shows always have a stupid and annoying storyline about someone forcing the love that they know damn well they shouldn't be in. And sometimes they might even throw in a little line about, oh, we know it doesn't work, but let's just give it a try. I'm not giving it a try. That's not realistic. Absolutely not. I watched a TikTok the other day. Well, actually not the other day, a while ago. And it was this lady, this young girl. Let's say young girl, not younger than 18, but this young lady. And she was talking about how she got engaged to a man that she'd been dating long distance for 2 weeks. Long distance, Lagos to Abuja. Long distance enough, right? So wherever airpiece is concerned, long distance enough. And not only that, right? So she's actually noted so many red flags from the start, just things that wasn't really her vibe, things that she didn't really like, just little things. But she was ignoring them. She thought, okay, it's not that deep, it's not that important. Whatever. This man had her plan her own proposal. Mind you, first of all, red flag that he's love bombing you. Second flag, he's trying to propose in 2 weeks. Third flag is that he's got you planning the proposal. He was in Abuja and got her. When I say planning the proposal, I don't mean a guest list. I mean going to venues, seeing what venue is good to propose for him to propose in. Not just that, what kind of decor, what kind of flowers. It was project management. It was project management. She was event planning, and the event she was planning was her own proposal with a guy that couldn't be bothered to make the trip to do it himself. And again, a lot of it was just that, oh, he's a good guy. He's a lovely guy. He makes sense for me. He's what makes sense for me. He's right for me. So this is who I should be with. Even though every single thing about that situation is pointing and shouting at you not to be with that person. And it's so sad how true this is for so many people, that you have no business being in a situation or circumstances that you're in. Even friendships. The one that got away applies to friendships too. You'll be fine. You find another friend. But I'm sorry, my thing is just that if someone brings me stress, I don't see how I am better off with you, with you and your continuous stress, than being alone or being by myself or not having you or having to start again. Pros and cons here, mate. Pros and cons. And the pro will always be in you walking away. That's just the honest truth. But anyway, this girl on TikTok, I felt so bad for her. I felt bad for her because, again, just back to women who really, 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 really want to get married to the point where they compromise their values, compromise their morals, compromise who they are. It's so heartbreaking. I honestly find it so, and you know, TikTok is always a story time about Lord knows what. Always something going on in these streets. And I genuinely find it so heartbreaking that people cannot be so confident in themselves and then just, and just enjoying life and just enjoying the season that you're in. Life is so, by God's grace, we will live. So I'm glitching. By God's grace, we will live long and live great. There's so many experiences to have in this life. There's so many people to meet in this life. There's just so much that you can't make the life that you live so small. You can't rob yourself of the beauty and the diversity of life. You just can't. You shouldn't. You can't and you shouldn't. But anyway, like I said, quick one today. I actually don't know how long I'm recording for. I reckon it's about 30-minute mark, maybe. But yeah, that is just really it. That's what I wanted to talk about. I don't believe in the one that got away. I think it's a scam. I also think it's just an ego. It's an ego trip for the average person. Yeah, there's better out there. Sometimes there is, sometimes there is, sometimes there isn't. But I think it's always worth taking that risk. In my opinion, of course. But this week, for my favorite segment, unpopular should be popular opinions, actually ties to the whole love thing. This has been weighing heavy on my heart for years. I've always felt this. I've always thought this. Never really publicly expressed it. But it brings me great pleasure to say that I hate the idea of female groomsmen. I hate it so much. I hate it. I find it so annoying. So back in my day, I'm 31 next month, but back in my day, right? Because again, life experiences, meeting people and taking in different cultures and just understanding so much of life. Back in my day, bridesmaids were not just the bride's friends or family. The bridal train, so the bridesmaids and the groomsmen, was the couple's friends and families and loved ones. Like the people that made up the bridal train were the couple's friends, families, and loved ones, right? So the bride's brother could be a groomsman. The bride's cousin could be a groomsman. The groom's sister could be a bridesmaid. I was a bridesmaid for my brother and my sister-in-law's wedding. I am, of course, my brother's sister, not my sister-in-law's sister, but there I was, bridesmaid. So back in my day, that was a thing. And so when it comes to female groomsmen, especially the ones that are best friends, that are the groom's best friends, because they tend to be the groom's best friends. You never really get the groom's sister being a groomsman. You don't. Or groom's lady. Try to remix things. That's the annoying thing about the society today. Everyone always trying to remix something. You never really get the groom's sister being a groom's lady or groom's woman. You never really get that. It tends to be the best friends. It tends to be the best friends. One day we'll talk about the female best friend dynamic in relationships and whatnot, but it's not the biggest deal in the world. It is what it is. But it tends to be the best friends of the groom. And I hear you are on the wrong side of history. Yes, that's your friend. Be a lady. Put on a dress. Again, what's wrong with you being a bridesmaid? If you are so great and so cool, I feel like if you're so important to be a groom's lady, then you should be so important to be a bridesmaid. Do you know what I'm trying to say? This is what I'm saying. Is it making sense? I hope it is. If it isn't, it makes sense to me. I don't know what I'm talking about. There's nothing I hate more than seeing a lady on the groomsmen's side on account of I'm the best friend of the groom. I have several seats. And then do you know what irks me even more? Is when they're wearing a suit. When they're wearing a suit, oh, that shit pisses me off. It really annoys me. It really grinds my gears. It's so interesting how a lot of these things in this segment is just me not minding my business, and I love it so much. But it really annoys me because be a lady, put on a dress, wear some heels, be on the right side of history, be at the brunch with the girlies. Stop it. Because if you're really friends with the bride and groom, which you should be, I feel like I hurt myself. My finger's so tender. But if you are friends with the groom, I believe that obviously at some point, like you guys will meet each other, like you will meet your partner, and you will meet your friend's partner, and you should be cool enough with them for them to invite you to the brunch, for them to invite you to the cookout, right? So if you're so close and you're so important enough to be on the groomsmen's side, sister, you should be on the bridesmaid side. You should have made an effort to be cool with the bride so that you could be a bridesmaid. Anyway, that's it really. Not much to that. There's literally not much to that other than there's nothing I hate seeing more than female groomsmen. What a sentence. What a sentence, what a line. Grinds my gears. Mind you, but that being said, anyone that's got a wedding coming up, just include it. Bring his female best friend onto the bridesmaid side. You know, even if you don't invite her to the brunches and whatever else, just save us from having to see a lady in a suit forming the man's best friend. Don't be silly. But anyway, guys, I hope you've liked this episode. I hope you've enjoyed it. Please kindly share the podcast. Share the podcast with people. Share the episode with people as well. Put in your group chats, whatever it is that you need to do to share it. That'd be great. That'd be appreciated. As always, I was always at My Own Royalty, but you can find me on social media actually at My Own Royalty on Twitter, what am I on? On Twitter, Instagram, and on TikTok. And of course, please follow the podcast at Rewriting Life's Canvas on Instagram and on TikTok. And you can also write into me, est@rewritinglifescanvas.com. Is that it? I think that's it. Yeah. But until next week, don't forget to rest. I'm going to keep reminding people to rest. Rest. I'm going home to rest after this because I'm tired. But make sure to rest. Make sure to try and live a fulfilling life. Try and live a life that's filled with purpose. Mind your business. Rest. Take care of yourself. Not just cute little self-cares, but actually take care of yourself mentally, emotionally, spiritually. And I will catch you guys on the next episode in 2 weeks. Take care. Bye.